the Saints a little bit? I know you might have some things to say on the Saints.
Jameis, man. It's terrible. It's a travesty what happened to him. Hey, one of the best to ever do it. King Crableg himself.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, McConnell's like the biggest Jameis stan ever. And we were really high. We've been really high on the Saints. I personally I saw a lot of people ripping Jameis earlier this year. Dude, his receivers they're not good. Like Callaway's all right.
Does he have the worst? Did they have the worst receivers in the NFL? Like it's up there. Like, and that's sad that like the Jets aren't that good.
Well, but they have Corey Davis.
Exactly.
And they have Jamison Crowder.
Exactly. Like when you think about like, oh wow, they really don't have weapons. They got way more weapons than Marquez Callaway and Traquan Smith.
Dude, Traquan Smith hasn't even been playing either. That 2 games ago was his first game back. He was on IR as well.
And he was terrible when he came back.
But last week he was all right.
He was
Yeah, I don't think he's like some super dynamic player or anything. But it's like it was Deontay Harris and Marquez Callaway. And who is their other wideout?
I mean, Alvin Kamara, I guess, is the other wideout. But like that bad situation for him. But could they still make the playoffs with I believe Taysom is supposed to come back this week or next week. Is the expectation.
I don't know if it's this week. I think it might be Seaman this week. We'll see. Or Simeon. Trevor Simeon. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's huge. I think it hurts them so bad. I think for their offense, when MT's coming back and you have MT and Kamara, I thought Jameis has looked a lot better. And people are like, oh, Jameis doesn't push the ball down the field. That's because Jameis used to always push the ball down the field. And Sean Payton and Drew Brees said, hey, Jameis, you got to cool a little bit. If they're not open, you can't just start throwing it up. Especially with this team, you don't have Mike Evans on this team. Jameis recognized that and willed them to what? They have they're 5-2 right now. He put them in a very good spot on Sunday as well to beat the Bucs. So I'm going to give him some credit there.
Did he do enough to get re-signed?
I don't know if it's by the Saints, but if I'm a team that doesn't have a quarterback that thinks that they want to, I don't know. It really hurts Jameis. It's like such a big blow to his career because it's not like he went out, like I said, like he's not like he went out there and was like, everyone was like, wow, look at Jameis. He's a completely different player. But I think that maybe he might only have one more chance. He might have one more chance.
Like that's the question I have with Jameis. It's like I don't care about the Saints. They lost Jameis. I'm not rooting for him anymore. All right.
Yeah, I also thought that too. Like I never root for the Saints, but I was rooting for the Saints a lot when they had Jameis. Yeah. I always root for Jameis. I don't know what it is, but
he would have led them to the playoffs. I fully expect them to have made the playoffs. They could. They have a really solid defense. Like they could make the playoffs, but I don't think they will.
No, Wilson's coming back this week. The Niners they just won. They have a light schedule. McCaffrey's coming back. Like there's a lot of teams that are getting better.
And so like if he had made the playoffs, then teams are looking at him, right? Denver next year's looking at him. The Packers are looking at him to battle with what's his face, the backup that they should have drafted. Yeah, Jordan Love. But like there's some teams that are looking at him like, hey, you know what? We kind of need a quarterback. Hey, maybe Minnesota's looking at him because maybe they want to move on for Kirk Cousins. I know they have Kellen Mond, but maybe they don't really believe in Kellen Mond. So
that's like a 3-year project.
Yeah. So it's like now that though it's you played 6.5 weeks. We didn't really get to see you try the ball with any good receivers. It was just check downs to some guys. Now, we did make some good throws. In the preseason, he made some dimes to Marquez Callaway. I mean, he made some great throws, but that's preseason because they're like, James, let it rip. Like, this doesn't matter. And he made a lot of great throws, especially not this last week, but 2 weeks ago. He made some throws where I was like, oh, my goodness. And then it's just bouncing off of hands. And I'm like, these are touchdowns that you're throwing against Seattle. I believe it was against Seattle. It might not have been, but it was tough. And overall, when you have a guy like that, I feel like that that's enough to where teams look at that and say, hey, we should give you a chance. I think he'll be in the league. Maybe he's fighting for a roster spot. But like of the guys that you would bring in for the Jameis, because Jameis, I would assume, gets a 1-year deal next year. Again, the guys he's competing with are guys like Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock. I would assume gets cut at the end of this year or traded. Like Sam Darnold, I guess you could bring in. Like I feel like Jameis has shown enough to be there. It's not like people are going to look at this season and be like, Jameis can't do it.
Well, okay, just real quick, his touchdown to interception ratio. And granted, there are 2 games where one he had 5 touchdowns, one he had 4 touchdowns. But it's 14-3. That's incredibly efficient. And yes, he's with Sean Payton, but I also think that if you just watch the games, like you turn on the film, you watch the games, you're going to see like he looks a lot better in terms of his decision making now. And I feel like that was the biggest thing. It was never like, does Jameis have the arm talent to do that? No, like he's not. And I think one of the things that does kind of hurt him a little bit is the league hadn't really started to, like when he came out, it wasn't as big on like, oh, you got to have a guy that can extend the play, that can, make the magic happen, I guess, right? He's not exactly like the best play extender. He is more of a conventional quarterback. Doesn't mean he can't do it or is incapable of like getting outside and like making a throw or extending a play. Like we do see him do that for sure, but he's not quite on like that level of like some of the guys that have been drafted lately. Like the way that the league is shifting to, it feels like. I don't know. I think he should get another spot, another starting opportunity.
Yeah.
However, I think you're right. I think it could very likely be like him versus Darnold or him versus Teddy or whatever battle like that. And the reason why I don't love that, if it's not with the Saints, it could also be with the Saints again. You never know.
Yeah.
If it's not with the Saints, I just worry that he's going to be put in a spot like with the Saints' bad wideouts this year where he doesn't have a great chance to succeed, and it's just kind of it for Jameis. But then the thing about him
Washington?
I like that a lot.
I hadn't even thought about them. They need a quarterback.
I think that could be a good spot for him, actually. I have Curtis Samuel, too. Curtis has just been hurt all year.
Yeah.
They have 2 good Terry.
They've got Gibson who can catch out of the backfield.
That could be a good spot.
I think that's my dream scenario. I've already got the Washington football team merch. So
really?
Yeah, I've got a hat, I've got a sweatshirt. I've got 2 hats actually. Yeah, the football team. See, Matt, I rep the football team.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Is that it for today?
I think so. And for anybody kind of in the stream late, if you guys didn't know, we're going to be streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we'll cut it all up. It's going to be podcast style. So I'm sorry that we don't interact with the comments. The goal of this isn't to like get massive streams or anything like that. Now, if you guys happen to come and enjoy the live show, that's great. It'll always be up if you guys want to watch that type of stuff. But the goal of this is just for us to hop in front of the mic, and we're just talking, and we're recording this for our podcast. We'll be posting that out. We'll send out all the links on our channel. We'll put that in the bio and everything like that in the description. But we'll also post all the shorter clips. So if you ever want to come back and you're like, hey, what did they talk about this week? There will be clips ranging from, they could be even as short as 2-minute clips to 10-minute to, if we talk about one thing for a long time, it may be a full 20-minute clip. And then we also post a smaller clip from that segment that may be like 5 minutes or something like that. A lot of different things. We'll just be putting out different content to really just talk about, show that like we talk about everything. Like we like to talk about a lot of things. We didn't talk about the Niners. We didn't talk about the Ravens. Like we talked about the Broncos, the Chiefs, and we talked about the Saints. Like that's what we like to talk about. We like to talk about everything, and we have a good time doing it. So, to anybody watching this, thank you everybody for watching or listening on the podcast platform. We're excited to be back. I think I'm going to say this right now. I had so much more fun doing this. This was a ton of fun to just get out and just talk about, whatever we wanted to talk about. And so, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see all of you again next time on Thursday.
Peace.